All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Big weekend. Oh, I know. It's sort of settling into this holiday week. It's weird. I know. It's great that you could be with us. We got the full crew for you, don't we? Do we have we have full crew-ish. They had to rebuild my studio, so I'm not sure that all the levels, they might be a little bit weird today. Like, yeah. So I'm kind of riding the levels myself.
But they built it back better.
They did. They built it back better in a sense. Tony built me a new computer, believe me or not.
We're going to rebuild it.
Yeah,
We're going to build it back better.
He literally did build me a new computer. And it's Windows-based, which I'm not really used to because Windows is better for this platform. It's just, and it was cheaper to have him do it, than to buy a new one. So, anyway, there's a lot of stuff that we've just put together. The studio literally was rebuilt over the weekend, here and there, like an hour at a time. But
Morning.
so, good morning to everybody. Morning, everybody in the chat room. Your voice is low, Mark. Is that right, John? Is my voice level low? Is that what
Maybe a little lower than usual, and you're competing with the bumper, so.
The music, yeah.
Is that better? Yeah.
It's all relative.
It is all relative. And speaking of relatives are coming in this week for the holidays. I know it's, when I say the holidays, I mean Thanksgiving and, of course, Black Friday, where we all knock each other over to try to get the best deals we can. It's not enough to virtually do it anymore. We have to, that's what's going to happen every time there's every time I get some kind of message from YouTube, it's going to make a sound on this new computer. Is that we have to figure out?
We didn't hear it.
Only you heard it. Mm-hmm.
It's in your head.
You're going crazy.
You know him. He's fabulous producer John Daly. No, where is fabulous producer John Daly? Everything's in a different place. This is great.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
Woo!
Right.
Dan Ashley coming in hot.
Yeah, Kim,
how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
It feels a little hot.
Kim, how are you?
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Kim, how are you?
Okay. Yeah, I guess that David.
Welcome to our air check session.
We like to work it all out. This is the new world, man. This is the new world. Tony is working today for real money, so he cannot be with us.
Thanks, Tony.
But he did rebuild. I'm telling you, it built this whole studio. Here's what happened. I'll tell you, guys, you've been such great supporters of this show so far in this first month. We started the show, and I had a lot of the stuff from KGO, okay? So KGO literally came and took it all, everything. Mic stands, mics, computer,
And I'll
boom.
take this,
It just
and
like
I'll-
Well, it wasn't
nothing
KGO because KGO doesn't
And I'll
exist
take
anymore.
that,
They
and
were
I'll take
agents of Cumulus.
Yeah, okay, exactly. Agents of Cumulus. So they came
dark
and
coat.
well, it was like an FBI raid.
Yeah.
It was unreal. Everything. We had there's a cellular backup thing. They took that too, which is great. I don't need it. Hey, look, it's theirs.
It didn't work half the time anyway.
I'm not complaining that they took it from the standpoint of how could they do it? Of course, it's theirs. They should take it. They have a right to take it. But I'm just saying, it just cleaned everything out. And so Tony literally rebuilt everything. So we built we have new mics in here. This is a new mic stand. We had to put in, new, as I told you, rebuilt the monitor. There's a new board, literally a new amp thing, this Rodecaster thing. So we try to do it as inexpensively as we can, but that stuff costs money.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, it's not easy. So anyway, that brings me to if you could support us today on an ongoing basis, that makes a great difference. It's from your little pot of gold of support that we will build this, and as John says, we'll build it back better. And many of you have said you like it better than the old.
We're going to rebuild it.
Right.
And we're going to build it back better.
So you can do that at themarkthompsonshow.com. There's a link to Patreon where you can become a monthly subscriber to the show and a monthly patron and monthly supporter of the show. And we run the names of all of those supporters at the end of our show every day. And that's our way of saying, look, every day we know how important you are to sustaining the show, frankly. So many, many thanks for that. And, of course, there are super stickers and there are super chats if you want to do it right now in the moment. It's easy right here on YouTube. And, of course, smash that like button like a boss.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Yeah, that's really
right.
loud.
That's right, lady.
That has to be re-recorded, but
Smash it with your iron rod.
okay.
Or does it? Does it need to be recorded?
Yeah, there is a group of you that I know isn't crazy for the smash it, but in any case, you do want to smash.
We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
So here's the deal. I also want to quickly acknowledge, and then I want to move on. It's been an eventful weekend, and there's a lot going on. Your staff are much louder than you, Mark, and giving me a headache. Wow.
Well, that's par for the course.
What?
That's par for the course. But I've lowered my volume again. It's weird. I'm at the same settings I was last week, but I'll just keep lowering them.
Well, my
Mark's
ears
fuzzy,
are bleeding.
John is too loud. Hope this can
Mark's
be
voice
fixed.
is
Right,
fuzzy
Valerie?
and John's too loud. Hope this can be fixed. Wow, that doesn't seem
All
good.
right. Well, we're working on it. We've got
My
some
voice
new
is
equipment.
fuzzy.
I don't think
That's
you don't sound
weird.
fuzzy to me. You sound nice and deep.
Here's the problem.
Hello.
I don't know if you do. I will always sound right to me because I don't hear, all of the various stuff that happens. But when Kim
Plus
says
your
you sound-
ego, right?
Well, again, of course,
Yeah.
I am someone who is.
Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.
You always sound perfect.
Thank you.
To
I do
yourself.
sound perfect all the time. It's true.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is when Kim says you sound okay here, that makes me feel like, oh, maybe the levels are about right.
Yeah. John's just a little loud.
John's mic is crazy hot. Well, let's get this straight. Let's work
KGO's
this out.
fault. That's right. That's right, Michael Berry. It is.
Yeah. Someone hit Mark's microphone with an iron rod.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Oh, man.
I like
don't know
that
how
it's
to-
not hanging and swinging all around. Now we get to see your beautiful face.
Thank you so much, Kim. By the way,
you're
I do
welcome.
have something. I don't know. I can take this down. Should I take this level down a little bit? Does that help you if I take it down?
No. I think you're perfect.
No, I think you were fine. I've lowered myself like by 40 points.
Okay.
I was too
I don't
low.
know.
John
I mean,
is
I
too
really
high.
do. Tom's got the idea. I blame you, John Daly.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Do you want to hear something funny?
Yes.
Hmm.
Always.
So I had a partial unemployment claim, right? It's been postponed, and EDD wanted to know why I was fired from KGO. So apparently a third-party administrator for the Cumulus Broadcasting Corporation told EDD that I was fired for violating company policies.
What?
That's not good.
Weren't you laid off with the rest of us?
Yes, I was. So I emailed management, and they're like, we don't know what that is. I asked them if I had said something, maybe it was something I said. But I thought that was kind of funny.
Was it something like
That is funny.
Yeah. I'd never been fired in my life, so it came as a shock to me.
Well, so they did. Now it's your unemployment claim being processed.
Yeah,
Possible
well,
unemployment.
EDD said that they didn't provide documentation, which is also par for the course. So incompetence all the way to the end.
Yeah, company policy, being employed. How dare you violate it?
You're costing us money, and we need to get our equipment back
Yeah.
from Mark. We have a credit card bill due.
It is. It was all done in one fell swoop, huh? When you can see everybody's comments on various things. Well, look, I'll say this about levels and about audio. We'll work that out. As I say, I wish Tony were in the mix today. He's really our guy on that. But apart from that, we'll try to bring the audios into, the audio levels into general conformity, and then I feel like conformity is close to a ding word. Am I right about that? Or
I'll allow it.
okay,
It's ding adjacent.
it's ding adjacent, exactly.
I've been waiting all weekend for something. I have to tell you guys. It is Murder Monday.
Mark's murder.
I'm looking forward. Mark's murder.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of Courtney's Murder Monday.
Yeah, but he still
the
takes credit.
alliterative-
Yeah,
the
he still takes
alliterative part of
credit.
it. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Do you know who I am?
Exactly.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Mark's Murder Monday is coming up at just after Kim's News at 10:30. Courtney is here with a featured true crime murder, and she's tried to make them either Bay Area, California centric or of the moment, like happening, now-ish. And today it's a now-ish one, and it's really mysterious. And I only know the broad strokes, but I think you'll really like it. So Mark is muffled. What? I don't know how to affect that. How do I do? Everybody's saying I'm muffled, John.
Yeah,
Let
well, you
me
sound
text
clear
you.
to us.
Oh, do
Yeah.
I? Okay. I don't know how that. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll try to deal with it.
Well, why don't you take your mic cap off? See if it's clear for them.
All right. Is that a little bit better?
Might help.
Mark, that makes all the difference.
Pat always called that the condom.
I've never been asked to take my mic cap off. By
Pat,
the way,
that
It's
is not
very-
a
Do you know
condom.
who I am?
Pat, what?
He always called that the condom.
Yeah.
Give me the condom. Yeah, no, it's not a condom, Pat.
Yeah, well, Pat is kind of in her way. Everything is, all roads lead to
What
the.
are the porn stars
Thank
doing?
you. That's all roads lead to that.
Ta-ta.
Yeah. By the way, Pat is going to make another visit to the show. I've been in touch with her,
Excellent.
and as will Rothman. And Chip Franklin has a show now. I just did a quick appearance. It precedes ours from 9 to 10. His show is an hour. And I just will keep you posted on everybody, so they'll all be through. Today, Gary DIETRICH, longtime KGO political analyst, will be here. We'll talk about everything from a special counsel to a future for the Republican Party. I've got some sound from Mike Pence, from Rod Rosenstein. Who you'll recall he was the one who actually appointed the last special counsel under the Trump administration. Robert Mueller, I'm talking about. And I also have audio from one other, so we'll get to that as well. Pence, Rosenstein, and Bill Barr. That's who I'm thinking of. So that's the hat trick of evil right there. And then I will talk a little bit of Niners. Niners play tonight. Big game. It'll be a lot of fun to see them Monday Night Football. I do want to acknowledge Steve Moskowitz. He's our dude on taxes. If you have any questions about taxes, year-end planning, whatever, hit Steve Moskowitz, 888-TAX-DEAL, 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 or reach him online, moskowitzllp.com. Over the weekend, I did find, this is breaking news. I found the black glasses. Yeah.
Oh,
The investigation is over. Here they are.
nice. Looking
Yes,
good.
thank you. Cheers,
Now the question
everyone.
is, where were they?
I wish I had a good story. They were in the car. I
What
took
did
them
you
in-
know, and when did you know it?
Yeah. Well, I just there were a couple of people who were saying that these are the attractive glasses, the more attractive glasses. And there was one person. I'm so sorry, Teresa, I think her name was. She said they look much, and she's an optician. Offered to get me a replacement pair if I could remember what this brand is, but I couldn't remember what the brand was.
Girl, you just woo.
Yeah, well, thank you. I feel a little woo, to be honest.
Well, there goes another sponsorship.
Yeah. What is this brand? Retro CE. Anyway, it's a slow start to the week, everyone. The horrible Colorado Springs nightclub shooting at the LGBT, at a gay club, I guess, but it's unclear still to this moment exactly what the motive was, but it's just another awful tragedy. I thought of the Pulse nightclub, of course, and that tragedy down in Orlando. That guy went in there with a semi-automatic weapon or whatever it was, and just took all those lives. In this case, apparently, people involved in the club became involved with the shooter. That is to say, they tackled him and probably saved a lot of people as a result of it. So 5 people died in all of this, and 25 others were injured. Real terrible incident with all of these other sort of adjacent questions involving the LGBTQ community and those communities that, you know, fall under this kind of hate constantly in this culture. So I promised you a vaccine breakthrough, and I have it for you. This is intriguing. And by the way, not bragging, but I did just get my latest booster yesterday.
Know who I am?
Yes.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Right here. I went for the left arm booster, and it does, my arm is still sore. Actually, we got him on Saturday. And as I've told you before, I don't run and skip and hum and sing to get my booster. I don't love getting vaccines. I don't know that the vaccines are bad for you. In fact, I just got one, so I must think that the vaccines are in general good for you in the sense that they knock down the severity of COVID symptoms should you contract it. I also will tell you that, as I mentioned to you before, that I think the messaging around the vaccine has changed. Originally, it's 100% effective in preventing COVID. That was absolutely the messaging. They can go back and change it, but that was the messaging.
100% effective. How about that?
That's right. Now we saw breakthrough cases. They call them breakthrough cases, you know, somebody who had the vaccine but also contracted COVID, and they say, well, their symptoms aren't as bad because they had the vaccine. And that became the new mantra. If you don't want really bad symptoms, get the vaccine. So I will concede that the questions around the vaccine continue. I'll also concede, even in my family, there have been people who had bad reactions to the vaccine. And I don't know what the long-term effects of the vaccine are going to be. So it's in that cloud of uncertainty that you have to make certain decisions. And these are decisions you have to make with your body and with medicine every day, right? You're taking statins or you're taking other medications for whatever. Every medication has side effects. Statins has an effect on your liver. And my doctor just put me on statins. I'm in pretty good shape. I don't want to get on statins. I said, dude, it definitely has. He said, look, it has a tremendous positive effect in preventing stroke and all this other stuff. So I'm just saying you're doing a cost benefit all the time. My cost benefit on the vaccine it was recommended by my physician, who I do trust. And
You haven't had COVID, right?
I did have COVID.
Oh, you did have COVID.
It was not bad. It really wasn't. Now, the effect of the cough.
You're alive, right?
That's
My messaging is evolving.
Yeah, it's 100% effective in terms of keeping you alive. Well, that's
100% effective.
I'm just
How about
saying,
that?
I'm not sure that that's the only thing I cared about. In any case, I got it. Now, of course, right after I get the booster on Saturday, you know, you're looking at a landscape of subvariants that evades the booster, right? I mean, these subvariants are coming constantly. I had the flu shot too, by the way. And of course, that's only 50% effective. They're upfront about that. So now, researchers at NIH think they found a new approach to vaccine design, and that new approach could lead them to a long-lasting vaccine against COVID. That's right, everyone. It also might work on other coronaviruses, they say, not just the SARS-CoV-2 viruses that cause COVID-19. The NIH team reported its findings in a peer-reviewed study that appeared in the journal Cell Host and Microbe earlier this month. Anybody get Cell Host and Microbe? No one? The key to the NIH potential vaccine design is it's part of the virus spine helix, they call it. It's a coil-shaped structure inside the spike protein, and it's the virus part that helps it grab onto our cells and infect them. I will talk a little bit more about this when we continue, but this does represent a different kind of vaccine, which I like. I mean, as I say, I just got the old school vaccine, but this might really produce a kind of lasting effect, not only against COVID, but against other coronaviruses.
We've never seen anything
as well.
like this before.
We've never seen anything like. Wouldn't you say that, Mr. President?
There's never been anything like this.
Okay, there you go. Mark Thompson Show. And what we'll do is, I have Steve Moskowitz, don't I? Okay.
Yes, you do.
All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I was talking about Steve Moskowitz just a few minutes ago. Great to have him in the mix. Steve, come on, have a little something for Steve Moskowitz, everybody. There you go.
Thank you. Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How was the weekend, Steve Moskowitz? You and your tax forms spend a relaxing weekend together?
Well, not only did I have a great weekend, but I have extra excitement today. A little teaser on your show. At 1:05 today, we're going to be introducing a special guest on Nikki's show. And this is a person that I believe most of your audience is very familiar with, had missed. And we're rebuilding from the carnage of Station X.
Wow. How about that? 1:05 today with Nikki. Excellent.
Look at Mark. Look at Steve with the teases.
Bringing it.
I know. Steve he's really.
He's a radio pro.
Yeah, he's become really so media savvy. It's a bit intimidating.
It's because we've lured him in, you see.
Well, he started just as a guy with a tax thing. Then he's now become media savvy, as I say. Yeah, but his original savvy, his original superpower is taxes and the world of taxes and helping his clients as an advocate for them. What do you have for us today, Steve?
I'm so excited. We have all kinds of things, but I'm so excited about the ERC because I'm watching the government give away all this money. And the government is rewarding employers that employed people in 2020 and 2021 by giving them. It's a gift. It's a grant. It's not a loan. And you do whatever you want with the money, giving them up to $26,000 for every employee that you have that qualifies. And you say, well, okay, what do I have to do to qualify? And here's where a lot of misinformation. There's two ways. The law says either or. There's a real easy way and a complicated way. And what a lot of firms have done, a lot of CPAs have done, they said, well, they'll just go with the easy way. And if you don't meet the easy way, which is a certain drop in gross revenue, that's it, no ERC for you, goodbye. I say, wait a minute. We're willing to take the time, the effort. We'll sit down with you. And we'll determine if we think you qualify under the facts and circumstances test. And for some clients, we even have to give them homework and say, well, look, you haven't given me enough information to determine one way or the other. So here's additional information I'm going to need, and we'll have a second meeting. And then if you don't qualify, we'll tell you and we'll tell you why. But a lot of people do qualify. And if you do, we want to get you every penny to which you're legally entitled. On the other hand, there's tremendous fraud going on with this program. The IRS is actively investigating it. There's a whole bunch of companies. They literally popped out of nowhere. They're not law firms. They're not anything. They're just people that say they'll do ERC for you. And when the IRS has a few questions to ask, they'll be long gone. By the way, with them, everybody qualifies. So you don't want to have either extreme. Clearly, you do not want to be committing tax frauds. You don't want some scammer, clearly. On the other hand, you don't want somebody that's taking the easy way out and leaving your money on the table. We're a tax law firm. We've spent over 30 years representing people and practicing tax law, and that's what we want to do for your viewers.
Well, I love that, you have that sincere disposition, but, you're aggressive on the part of your clients. And so if there's a way to get you that ERC money, Steve is going to do it for you. You can reach him at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAXDEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. Also online, Moskowitz LLP. You spell Moskowitz, Moskowitz, LLP, of course, LLP, so you put it together, MoskowitzLLP.com. How about it for Steve Moskowitz, everybody? Come on. Our founding sponsor, cool dude. Thanks, Steve. We'll talk next hour.
Thanks.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Now, I wanted to get back to the story about the new vaccine they're working on at NIH. It's a peer-reviewed study. That's why I really was intrigued by this. While I'm looking at it and doing it, smash that like button. I could use it. The like button is a little thumbs up. So I say, smash the like button. You've got to,
Smash.
If you hit the thumbs up, you're doing us. Even if you're watching in replay, you're doing us a solid because that's the way the algorithm works in YouTube. Anyway, lots of current vaccines target the spike protein that I was talking about. That the spike protein is the part of the virus that helps it grab onto our cells and infect us. Okay. There is something inside the spike protein that they're going for with this vaccine. All right. So they are, so it's even, they note here, lots of current vaccines target the spike protein. None of them specifically target the spine helix that I mentioned. And yes, there are good reasons to focus on that part of the pathogen, they say. Whereas many regions of that spike protein tend to change a lot as the virus mutates, the spine helix doesn't. So this is a way that you could, on an ongoing basis, be inoculated against the various permutations of COVID. Permutations, yeah. So this gives scientists hope that an antibody targeting this region will be more durable and broadly effective, they say. This is the guy who's the lead scientist at NIH on this research project speaking. Vaccines that target and bind the receptor binding domain region of the spike protein might lose effectiveness if the virus evolves within that region. The great thing about the spine helix, from an immunological standpoint, is that it doesn't mutate. At least it hasn't mutated yet, 3 years into the COVID pandemic. So again, the specific receptor binding region of the spike protein will be, the spine helix will be targeted. So the vaccine that binds the spine helix in SARS-CoV-2 should hold up for a long time, and it should also work on all the other coronaviruses that also include that spine helix. There are dozens of them. There's the MERS, there's SARS-CoV-2. To test their theory, NIH researchers extracted antibodies from 19 recovering COVID patients, tested them on samples of 5 different coronaviruses, including SARS-CoV-2, SARS-CoV-1, and MERS. Of the 55 different antibodies, most zeroed in on parts of the virus that tend to mutate a lot. Just 11 targeted the spine helix. But those 11 that went after the spine helix worked better on average on 4 of the coronaviruses. That's a fifth of, the NIH team isolated the best spine helix antibody and also tested it on hamsters infected with the latest subvariants of Omicron variant. This gets a little wonky, but you get the idea. The results are promising. These findings identify a class of antibodies that broadly neutralize coronaviruses by targeting the stem helix, the researchers wrote. So
does that mean we get a vaccine now that not will keep us out of the hospital and keep us from getting sick, but will actually keep us from getting COVID altogether?
That's what they are suggesting, although they say they've not performed vaccination experiments in this study. So they can't,
Well, they have to get the 5G chips into the vaccine.
Yes, that's right. You got to get the Bill Gates. They have the meeting. Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
it takes a while.
Still. Yeah.
You got to go to the World Domination meeting. When's the next World Domination meeting? I think
it's in the spring. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Or maybe even June.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's fascinating, significant breakthrough research being done at NIH. And once again, right now what they're doing is they're taking the vaccines, they're tweaking them specifically for the original SARS-CoV-2 and the Omicron variant. That's that bivalent thing. I just got one. Maybe you're getting it. Maybe you're not. Maybe it's, I understand the reluctance. But the idea is that this would be transcendent. It would be, you don't have to constantly tweak it. It's going after a certain construct within the cell. So there's all of that. That's the latest news in COVID land, and it's good news, potentially. But again, it's not, to Kim's point, happening right away. That is to say, the vaccine that includes this new technology won't be available right away.
But this is the nature of science, right? It evolves.
Yes.
So we have the best information possible at a given time, and we have to collect data and analyze.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, and that's the whole idea. Data collection and testing, right? So
The science is ridiculous.
yeah, I get it. Well, okay, it's not for everybody. What's happening in the chat room? You can hit us in the chat live. And by the way, if you're watching in
text it?
replay, you can also hit it with comments in replay as well. We will interact. We're just getting, this is, if you're just joining us, the first day with a new studio and a new setup, so all the levels are a little weird, and we're going to, it's a shakedown period. So, we could have taken time off and done a bunch of test shows, but we wanted to continue the momentum of the show, so that's why we're doing it here before you. But so if everything's just a little janky, that's the reason. Europe is keeping up better than the U.S., I guess. On the vaccines, I like that comment, and I'll tell you why. Because it's true. The funding associated with COVID research is being hampered by Congress. There is not the robust funding program that you saw at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. Under the Trump administration, remember Operation Warp Speed and everything? And by the way, that was legit, okay? So, I mean, it's weird because Trump is so full of stuff that's not legit, and much of his COVID messaging was not legit. The COVID money grab associated with Kushner and that whole crew that really worked, even though Pence claims COVID policy, the reality was he was just a figurehead. As we've talked about in detail at length on this show, there was essentially another panel of people populated by many who had no background in supplies, in pandemics, in immunology, in anything. They were the real minds behind COVID policy. But to the Trump administration credit, in the urgency of the pandemic, there was a lot of money flowing in. That money is going away. And so that commenter is right. Was it Wren who said, we're behind? We are. We're behind Europe. We're behind Asia. We are behind. In terms of robust vaccine protocols, we're behind. That's absolutely, and it's all about money. So the Biden administration is continuing to ask for money, but we'll have to see whether they can.
Well, we got started out on the wrong foot when Trump was denying that COVID was an issue.
Right. That's certainly true. That was the first move, right? It was out in the world of America for a long time before it was recognized.
Well, and that's what started the divide, right? He could have said, come on, fellow conservatives, get behind this, get vaccinated, do your patriotic duty, but he didn't do that.
Super stickers, super chatters, we'll recognize you next. So thank you for all the support. Thank you for being here. Next, it's Mark's Murder Monday, right after Kim. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is our big holiday Thanksgiving week. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. The mayor of Colorado Springs is praising those who took down a gunman at an LGBTQ club this weekend. Speaking to CNN, John Suthers specifically mentioned one person who took the gun away from the suspect. He said those who sprang into action on Saturday night brought this to a halt very quickly. Disney turning back to Bob Iger as its CEO in a surprise move. Sunday, the company's board of directors said he is replacing Bob Chapek, who's stepping down. In a statement, Disney said Iger is uniquely situated to lead the way during an increasingly complex period of industry transformation. He's agreed.
Translation for that is, please get back here right away. We're in trouble.
He is agreeing to reclaim his position for 2 years. We'll see how it goes. After spending 15 years as company CEO, Iger announced plans to retire in 2020 as he handed the reins to Chapek. Now, didn't Iger, when he stepped down, wasn't there, people were upset with something he was doing. There was some type of controversy. So maybe this was all planned. Like he just needed a little break from the spotlight before he popped right back in.
I don't know if it was planned. It's a bad look for Disney, but I mean, certainly whatever controversies he was in the middle of are dwarfed by the business urgency that Disney's feeling. They're hemorrhaging money, but the whole industry right now is in a bad place. So he's got his work cut out for him. But look, he was the last successful CEO at Disney, so they wanted him back because the guy they're saying goodbye to, or they're doing that whole "thank you so much for your years of service at Disney." They want him out because they're bleeding out. I don't know that it's his fault, but
it seems hard to believe with Disney Plus now, the streaming service. You would think they would be making money hand over fist.
Well, sadly, I say sadly, I mean, the reality is Disney Plus, you're right. I mean, it's a huge bit of streaming revenue for them. They have the movie division. They have the theme park division. They have, as you know, a bunch of television properties, ESPN. Yeah. They are ABC. So there's a lot of P&L on their P&L statement, and it's way more than Disney Plus. And they're dealing with a constricting media economy as well. So I think you just find all media companies are hurting right now, and Disney may be hurting in more ways because we don't even see all of the holdings they have, if you get my point.
Yeah. So welcome back, Mr. Iger. Here you go. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar firing back at House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy after he vowed to remove her and several prominent House Democrats from their committee posts if he's elected Speaker. The Minnesota Democrat serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and said stripping her from her committee does nothing to address issues that are concerning to constituents, including inflation. Republicans are set to take control of the House in January and voted last week to nominate McCarthy as Speaker. It is week 2 of the strike for 48,000 academic employees in the University of California systems. Negotiations are ongoing, but still no deal. And a free speech debate happening at Berkeley Law School. This one was touched off by a request made a couple months ago when a law student group at Berkeley Law, the Students for Justice in Palestine, asked other student groups to adopt a bylaw. SF Gate says the group wanted to exclude any speaker who expressed, quote, continued to hold views or promoted events in support of Zionism, the apartheid state of Israel, and the occupation of Palestine, end quote. Other students responded that was inconsistent with the values as a law school and the commitment that all viewpoints be expressed, so the debate continues at Berkeley Law.
It is weird how universities do this thing where, it really should be an environment where you do accept, the Ann Coulters of the world on the campus, the Ben Shapiros, the Zionists, whatever it might think, the Black Lives Matter speakers. There shouldn't be, if it's a university, there really shouldn't be the kind of, if I can use the word, the kind of cancel culture that you see. I don't know. It's becoming a more
put it to an extreme. Would you allow the Nazis to come speak?
Again,
how far do you get where you say, what they have to say is they're only here to express hate. So do we take the hate speakers and the speakers we agree with? Do we take everybody, or do we just say no hate?
Yeah, I think a hate speech can be a little bit much, and so I can see drawing the line somewhere, but I also. And by the way, having said that, I know you can couch hate speech in a lot of ways. So I think you might get into a little bit of a problem. But I just find that they've oversteered a little bit,
It's just interesting because you say the line can be drawn, but where? And that's the case. It's like, well, I think it should be drawn here. You think it should be drawn there. The other guy thinks it should be drawn in another spot. So then how do you please everyone?
Right. No, it's a fair point. So we cancel everyone, no more speakers, I think. Is that it?
Right.
Yeah. We can't
All
have
or
more
nothing.
speakers because of this. Right.
This is why we can't have nice things. The upcoming film Indiana Jones 5 will feature a de-aged Harrison Ford. I wish they had real life de-aging. They just walk around with a camera on my face with a de-aging little thing. Speaking to Empire, the film's director, James Mangold, said the de-aging technology is only used in the film's opening scene. It's set in 1944 and will show Indiana Jones fighting off a group of Nazis. The film releases in theaters June 30th. I wonder if
Nazis that are on their way to speak at Berkeley?
They were headed that way. Then Harrison Ford gets in the way, a young Harrison Ford.
I like it.
And
I'm
that's
just trying to tie it all together, everybody. That's the, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Little something.
I have
All
a
right.
story that is kind of obligatory for this week, but I kind of have to do it. So I'm going to hold my nose while I do it. All right. 2 North Carolina
Something with
turkeys.
a turkey. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
One named Chocolate, one named Chip, getting pardoned by... That would be President Biden. He took part in the annual turkey pardoning ceremony on the White House lawn, surrounded members of his staff and family. The turkeys then retired to North Carolina State University in Raleigh after their big...
It would be like Lincoln freeing 2 slaves instead of all the slaves. Yeah, it's not against slavery, but these 2...
I don't know
Really?
where
Yeah, and they're not holding this
where you-
at the Butterball farm, like at the factory farm.
I don't know.
Anyway.
You went to slavery with that. I don't know where you went, but I will tell you that Chocolate and Chip, they were selected instead of all the other turkeys in the world. I don't know why. They stand out as being very special. So, yeah, pardon.
Well, all turkeys are special, Kim, but let's move on.
The news sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL or online at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson? 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 Who's Mark Thompson?
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up?
Oh, we lost your mic.
Can I be heard right now?
Oh, no,
there
there
we
you
go.
are. You know.
I'll tell you, I don't know. It's a new setup, and it's all just it's overwhelming, and not everything's working exactly the way I'd like, but it's a tweak. We'll get there. Thank you for your tolerance today on that as we get work. Are you kidding me? Wait a minute. I'm about to Murphy Rowan. Can we build it?
You're not going to cry, are you?
I'm not going to cry.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not going to cry,
I'm
but
not gonna cry.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
Murphy, I am going to give you a big Dan Ashley shout out.
Big shout out.
Yeah, what up, Murph? Thank you. Murphy Rowan is a great supporter of this show on Twitter and here, and $50. Wow. Thank you so very much.
And
Thank
always
you so
has
very
great
much.
comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Northside Service Company. What up with my Northside Service Company shout out? $10 for Mark since he found his dark rimmed glasses.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Northside Service Company. You can also leave us super chats and super stickers if you want to, right here on YouTube. There's a super sticker right now from Pamela Kirby.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pamela, $9.99. Thank you very much. Yes. Pinky Cerritos. Pinky, I love that name, Pinky.
Thank you.
Yeah, $2.99 super sticker. Thank you, Pinky.
Thanks, Pinky.
Yeah, a very, very cool thing. That was really nice. So super stickers and super chat. And, of course, if you want to become an ongoing sponsor of the show, go to our Patreon. Become a patron at Patreon. And you can go to patreon.com, but you can also go to our website, which is themarkthompsonshow.com. And there are links to everything to become a patron. You can go to our YouTube page, which is at the top. And then there's something else there, John. I forget. Oh, PayPal, of course. Yeah, PayPal. So that's available as well. On Mondays, thank you very much for all of your chats. We'll get to them, and we do go through, and we even read your chat after the show. For those of you who are looking in replay, you will be able to leave a comment, and we get to those as well. On Mondays, we have just begun a new segment. It's called Mark's Murder Monday. My darling Courtney comes in with a true crime, real murder Courtney, you'll be glad to know that our production guy from the old radio station, by the way, you can get, there's a Mark Thompson Show t-shirt. There are a few more of the KGO and Exile t-shirts left. You can get a black one, KGO and Exile t-shirt, or a white one, KGO and Exile t-shirt. And we have photos of some people who've gotten them. Please send us a picture of you with any merch. There's a pretty cool picture we'll show you next hour of somebody who hooked up with the merch. Anyway, I mentioned that the guy who used to do the KGO production did a special open and close for your Murder Monday. So here
is
Murder one.
Red rum.
Mark's Murder Monday.
Yeah, how about that? Here she is, Courtney, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Courtney.
Hey.
Wow.
Hello.
Yeah, with your own little open there. Pretty cool.
Okay.
Can you not hear?
Yeah, sort of hear myself.
Can you hear yourself? Not enough? Now do you hear yourself better?
Yeah, now I hear myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
We're just working it all out. I will also mention Courtney has a
Oh no.
Courtney has a superhero figure that we keep here.
So
I move
cute.
it forward. Yeah, during her segments, I move it forward.
Oh goodness.
Anyway, Courtney, you have as usual, a true crime story. That this is really bizarre because of the. Well, why don't you give us the details? I think there are a lot of bizarre qualities to this story.
Yes, and I had been working on this story since the middle of last week, and it goes without saying, obviously, that what happened yesterday in Colorado is awful and an egregious, horrible situation, and so it did happen, but I was so far down the road with this story that I'm going to move forward with this story.
Well, of course, I mean that almost falls into a breaking news type situation, but you're right.
Exactly.
It's an odd place to be because we call the segment Murder Monday, but it really means these are mysteries, sort of murder mysteries, as opposed to the horror that we talked about it in the first half hour. So it's cool that you acknowledge it, but we understand that
Good.
Okay, so
yeah. Well, some of the sources that I used for this story were New York Times, NBC, CBS, GMA. Everybody's running it. It is the University of Idaho murders. And East Idaho News and some of the local news have been actually doing great reporting. And to the families have granted interviews to a lot of the local news, which I think is important. And so they've been a great source of information. Also, the Daily Mail, which probably undermines everything that I'm going to talk about. But so this is the University of Idaho murders. On November 13th at 11:59 a.m., police responded to a 911 call at a home just off the campus of the University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho. This is a small town in the northern part of Idaho near the Washington border. The population is about 25,000.
John is showing some of the interior of the house right now where this all happened.
Thank you. So the 911 call reported someone unconscious. And what's strange about that is this was a gruesome crime. A lot of the first responders, including the coroner who was called to the scene just after noon on November 13th, said that this was the most gruesome crime they'd ever seen. So the call comes in. It's reported that someone is unconscious at a home. And this was only confirmed yesterday in a news conference that the call was made from one of two roommates who were in the home but remained physically unharmed in the attack. And so their phone was used to call 911.
So how many people were in the home? If there's a
So there were 4 people who were killed. And then there were 2 roommates who lived in the home but remained physically unharmed. So there
we're seeing pictures of the kids who lost their lives in all of this right now. Anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. So when police arrived, they found 4 victims of homicide. All were stabbed, and authorities believe that the weapon was a Rambo-style knife. And it was probably the same knife that the person used to kill all 4 of the victims.
What's a Rambo style knife? Is that like a big Bowie type knife, like a big?
Yeah, I was listening to this man talk about these knives, and they were basically used by the military in World War II. And they were fashioned, though, the Rambo style off of John Rambo from the movies. I think it sort of became more notoriously known. But as I mentioned, the coroner and other emergency responders said this was one of, if not the most gruesome crime scene they had ever seen. There was blood all over the walls, and there was so much blood that it was seeping actually outside of the exterior of the home from one of the rooms.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So the victims were Kaylee Goncalves. She's 21, a senior, and she was a woman from Rathdrum, Idaho. She was a general studies major who was known as really a go-getter and very ambitious. She had already lined up a tech job in Austin, Texas, and was looking to move there at the beginning of summer. She was a sorority member and was best friends with Madison Mongan, who is one of the other victims. They had known each other from what I believe was like 6th grade, something like 10 or 12 years old. Madison Mogan, she was 21. She's a senior, a woman from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. She was a marketing major who was just known to be incredibly kind. She was also a sorority member of Pi Beta Phi, but there were 3 women who lived in the home. There were 5 women total, but 3 of them all were part of the Pi Beta Phi sorority. As I mentioned, Madison and Kaylee were very close. In fact, when Kaylee's sisters were talking about losing Kaylee, they included Madison as one of their sisters, as one of their siblings who had been killed because she was just considered such a part of Madison's family. And they lived in the house. Madison and Kaylee lived in the house where the murders happened with their good friend, Xana Kernodle. And so, as I mentioned, Xana lived in the house. She was a sorority member of Pi Beta Phi. She was 20 years old. She was a junior woman from Post Falls, Idaho. She was also a marketing major, same as Madison. And she was very strong-willed and really enjoyed the independence of college life, was what her dad mentioned in a interview from last week. Her father was actually the one to take to the press that Xana was, I think, the only victim who fought. So there were bruises and indications of the knife cutting parts of her skin in the way that defensive wounds would be incurred. And so he also mentioned that in an interview from last week.
It's interesting because in the chat, people are saying, how come you can have all of these people lose their lives and no one puts up a struggle? You're saying one, at least in one case, there's evidence of a struggle.
So it was believed that they were all sleeping.
I see.
But what's interesting is,
you know,
yeah,
once you kill one, you think it wakes people.
You would think other people would hear it.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 women who didn't hear anything. And the 2 women who didn't hear anything were on a different floor. And then I'll just quickly talk about Ethan, just not quickly, but I'll touch on Ethan Chapin because he was 20 years old. He was a freshman male from Conway, Washington. He was a recreation, sport, and tourism management major and loved sports. He played every sport that he could. He, both his brother and sister said he was their number 1, and he was actually a triplet. So he was the firstborn of these 3 siblings. He was a member of Sigma Chi fraternity, which is actually important because that's where he was the night before that he was killed. He also lived at the Sigma Chi fraternity house, and he was a member of the fraternity with his brother Hunter. So the home was at 1122 Kings Road in Moscow, Idaho. It was 6 beds, 3 baths, a 2,300 square foot home. There were 3 floors, so the victims were on the 2nd and 3rd floor, and there were 2 victims on each floor. From what I understand, and this is not corroborated by the police, Ethan and Xana were on the 2nd floor, and Madison and Kaylee were on the 3rd floor. And they think that the perpetrator came in through the 2nd floor through a sliding glass door.
So the perpetrator killed people on the 2nd floor and then moved to the 3rd floor and killed a bunch of people. It's a really remarkable thing. This is a sorority house, so I guess people have their own room or they're roommates, right?
Well, it's on fraternity and sorority row, but it's not an actual house.
Okay.
It's actually across the street from Sigma Chi, which is where 2 of the victims were that night.
Okay.
Yeah. But I bring up the sorority
Two of
and
the victims were there
fraternity.
prior to going to the house.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Go
But I
ahead.
bring that up because that's where a lot of these connections were happening between the victims. So on the night of November 12th, the morning of November 13th, Kaylee and Madison went out to the Corner Club from 10 p.m. to 1:30 a.m., which is on Main Street in downtown Moscow. After the Corner Club, the women walked to a grub truck where they ordered food. What's interesting about the truck is the truck live streams these late nights on Twitch. And it was actually Olivia, Kaylee's sister, who found the footage and was able to identify Kaylee and Madison as being there ordering from the truck, and they were with a mystery man.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the pictures of them by the food truck. These are the last pictures of them alive.
Is he
By the way,
hugging her,
Courtney,
the mystery man?
you're listening to the show, I think, at the same time you're talking. Is that on your phone, the show? No? I'm hearing an echo. I'm just wondering where it's coming from. Maybe it's your laptop. Is that possible? Can you just... I'm going, where is that echo coming from? Okay. So that's better. Thank you.
great.
Okay, go ahead.
And so I've heard two different reports. I've heard Kaylee's sister, Olivia, who also found the grub truck video, that she actually found the Uber driver that drove Madison and Kaylee home from the grub truck. I've also heard it was a private citizen, so I don't know if they're calling in the Uber driver a private citizen. And Kaylee then proceeds to call her ex-boyfriend, Jack Decor, 6 times from 2:26 to 2:44, and then Madison calls Jack 3 times from 2:44 to 2:52. Jack
So they're calling this guy Jack.
Yeah, they're calling
over and
him
over again.
over and over again.
So they must have known. Maybe that was because there was something going down. They were trying to get a hold of Jack. Get over here, help us, or not?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just.
Or he's a suspect. You're saying.
Well.
Do we know who Jack is?
Yeah, we know who Jack is, and the
Okay.
family doesn't think that Jack is involved.
Okay.
It's really sad, actually. I just went to their Instagram pages last night, and there's a lot of people blaming Jack on Kaylee's Instagram, and the police don't think it's Jack, and the families don't think it's Jack. I think it was just late night. They wanted to reconnect with an ex-boyfriend. You know,
7 calls. Wow. Oh,
10
I see.
calls, yeah.
Yeah, but at
Or
that
9
age,
calls.
you call over and
Yeah.
over. Yeah, that's true.
Well, and there's alcohol involved.
Yeah,
That's true. I'd be willing to bet my lunch.
exactly.
Yeah.
Ethan and Xana.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch
Okay,
that
I get
there's
it.
alcohol.
I said it already. You don't need to run it. Okay, go ahead.
Ethan and Xana, they had been dating since spring. They were the other 2 victims in this horrific story. They went to a Sigma Chi party from 8 p.m. to 2 p.m. 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. that evening. It was across the street, or like 100 yards from the home, so it was very close. They returned at 1:45 a.m. on November 13th, so they went out on the 12th. But nobody's really talking about what happened from 9 p.m. to nearly 2 a.m., which is strange. Xana's father did say that he spoke to Xana at midnight on November 13th. She died.
When did they think? Yeah, she died at what
She
time?
died 3 hours later.
Okay.
So-
So take us to the theories, and if you would please, I'm sure we got to wrap up. But
Yeah.
so at the end of all of this, how many people are dead again?
There's 4 victims, and there's 2 roommates that lived in the home that remained unharmed. So
Listen,
there
they
was,
didn't even sustain injuries.
yes.
Okay.
And then there's been about over 600 tips, 90 interviews. There's 120 people assigned to this case, including the FBI. And that's they really don't have. Apparently, the crime scenes were very chaotic, and there was a lot of stuff left as it relates to DNA and other things. So hopefully they find this person, but they don't have any suspects right now.
There's no sexual assault involved. It was just
No.
brutal murder. God.
Yeah. I know, it's awful.
The
It was
first
really awful.
and the 911 call came in from who? They're asking.
So the 911 call came in from one of the roommates who lived there that was unharmed. Their names were Dylan and Bethany.
And the 911 call is someone's unconscious, or
Yeah,
this is
it
what's.
was someone unconscious, but it wasn't them. It was someone using their phone. They won't say who it was. The police won't say who it was.
Now, Courtney, one of the photos we have is the screenshot of this mystery man who kind of motions up towards them and follows them as they leave. Do we know
Yes.
anything about that guy?
I don't know his name. There are much better sleuth than me on Reddit and
Well, what are the cops
Twitch.
saying about this? Or
But
what is what
I
is
think
the
there are
theories?
some theories, but basically the idea is that he followed the women from the club to the food truck and then left
Right.
went in a different direction, and like they don't really know who he is. They don't know if he.
But
was at
it
the
did look
club
like
or
he was
something.
looking at them earlier. He was like standing there, and now the image on the screen is when he motions up, and then moments later he follows them off to the
I
left.
think it's weird that he arrives at the food truck with the women. They don't talk to him at all. He bumps into her. She doesn't even really like look up or acknowledge that they've kind of run into each other as she's walking up. It was a weird interaction. And then they just left. They didn't say goodbye. They almost ran away like they were avoiding him. So
What do you
the whole thing is strange.
What do you call those people that they're men that are angry that no women will date them?
Or the
Incels?
something.
Incels,
Incels.
yeah.
Incels,
I wonder
that's
if it was because they're really cute girls. So I wonder if it was that type of situation where he was just mad at women in general, especially, beautiful women. And so.
Well, he could have been at that party and then obsessed about them all night.
Yeah,
And he's definitely crazy and mad, right? I mean, angry.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't perpetrate a crime like that where there's blood everywhere and you're hacking people up unless you're really angry.
yeah.
So he's totally disconnected. What an awful case. And there they are. Yeah, you can see them on screen now. And so there are no breaks in this case. There are no suspects. There's
No.
this is in Moscow, Idaho.
Moscow, Idaho.
You know how Moscow, Idaho got its name? Anybody know how Moscow, Idaho, why they call it Moscow, Idaho? Courtney, you know.
I know.
Why?
There are two theories, but the one that seems most corroborated
Everything's a theory with Courtney. Okay, go ahead.
Is that
Guess that when you're a crime specialist, there are only theories. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. At the time when they were incorporating the town, the postmaster general, his name was Samuel Neff, he had been born in Moscow, Pennsylvania, and he had lived in Moscow, Iowa, so he named it Moscow. And so I guess if it's not broke, but that was one of the theories that I read about.
Wow, there you go. Well, very nice job. I thank you for joining us every Monday.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And
Mark's Murder Monday.
Your own little
I know.
On the Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
It's very exciting.
Courtney, everybody, thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Very well done. Wow. Gary Dietrich will segue into some politics next. As you know, special counsel appointed in the Trump case, really focused on documents, also focused on the January 6th connection to Donald Trump specifically. And when you're indicting a former president, there are a lot of attendant issues. There are pros and cons on appointing a counsel. I'll speak to those next. And we'll talk about the new Congress and their agenda, which is already laid out as we continue. Smash that like button like a boss. And we have our new studio today. We're working out levels and stuff, but I really appreciate everybody hanging out and all the ways you support us. Mark Thompson Show.
Yes, I'm very unhappy with everything I've heard today on your show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. President Biden giving the U.S. men's national soccer team a bit of a pep talk as it plays its first World Cup match in Qatar. In a video call, President Biden emphasizing the team has some of the best players in the world. He told the group the whole country is rooting for you. He's urging members of the team to play their hearts out. One person is dead and at least 16 hurt after an SUV smashed right into an Apple store in Massachusetts. It happened this morning south of Boston. The local district attorney wouldn't speculate if this was an intentional act. He said the male driver is being detained. And criminal charges are being filed against the suspect in a deadly Colorado shooting that left 5 people dead and many more injured. Anderson Lee Aldrich was charged with 5 counts of murder and 5 counts of bias-motivated crime causing bodily injury. The incident happened in Colorado Springs at an LGBTQ club late Saturday night. Police say they're still working to figure out who owns the long rifle allegedly used by the suspect. And the United States will continue backing Ukraine as it fights back against Russia. That's the message from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Speaking in Indonesia, Austin said he thinks Ukraine has put more than $20 billion that the U.S. has provided to good use. The country has recently been able to take back its cities of Kharkiv and Kherson, in addition to defeating the Russians in Kyiv. Austin said the U.S. will try to help prepare Ukraine to continue fighting through the winter. And the Texas Military Department is sending armored personnel carriers to the U.S.-Mexico border. The agency, again, that's the Texas Military Department, will deploy 10 vehicles to the border as part of Operation Lone Star. The order issued last week says the destination for each armored vehicle hasn't been determined. They are increasing aircraft flights and security efforts along the border. The actions follow Governor Greg Abbott's declaration last week that he was invoking a section of the U.S. Constitution allowing him to defend the border against an invasion of criminals and illegal border crossers. NASA's unmanned Orion capsule is cruising now just 80 miles above the surface of the moon. Launched last Wednesday as part of the Artemis 1 mission, the capsule will fire its main engine to start a series of maneuvers to put into lunar orbit later this week, the first stage of the Artemis mission designed to eventually put humans back on the moon in just a few years. And lastly, the Baltimore home where the late rap legend Tupac Shakur lived as a child is on the market. The asking price, $179,000. The listing says Shakur lived in the first floor apartment when he was 13 in 1984, lived there with his mom and his sister. Shakur attended the Baltimore School for the Arts in the 80s, where he excelled as an unusually gifted Shakespearean actor, interestingly, and then became an international rap star by the time he was killed when he was 25.
Tupac Shakur was a Shakespearean actor?
Who knew,
he was
right?
A hip-hop artist?
That's why I read the
yeah,
story.
Not me. That's unreal. Wow.
Isn't it? The
Yeah.
news sponsored by attorney Steve Moskowitz, tax attorney
Ladies
Steve
and gentlemen,
Moskowitz.
the one and only Young Thug is here.
Yeah, right. All right. Yeah. My hip-hop life could be coming, you know? Anyway,
never
all right,
know.
go. It's
You
all
never know.
performance, So, yeah. Okay.
So Steve Moskowitz, back to the man of the hour. More than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. So if you need help with your taxes, you can hit Steve at 888-TAX-DEAL or at MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
What up, everybody? It is great to have you in the mix. I'll tell you who I'm also very happy to have in the mix. Am I supposed to do the acknowledgments first? I'm so sorry. Okay, sorry.
If you get them in order, you get extra points.
I need to get better at my order. But I want a big thank you very much to Carmela Indiveri.
Thank you.
Hey, you know, Carmela, I recognize that this isn't your first invitation. I mean, your first contribution is the word I was looking for. And thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I give you 3 thank yous and an extra thank you.
Thank you.
Gail Guthrie, 1999. Happy Thanksgiving week. I'm working, so thanks for the great show. It gets me through.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, Gail. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Gail. Very awesome. Peg Thompson, great last name, 1999.
Thank you.
I love it. Yeah, love it. Thank you. Karen Q, what up, Karen Q? Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Karen. And appreciate the super sticker. You can leave super stickers, also super chats. If you're feeling the love this holiday season, you can shed a little love our way. And of course, as I mentioned, Patreon and also the PayPal links are at themarkthompsonshow.com. You can become an ongoing supporter of the show. We certainly need it. We just built a whole new studio, which is why everything's a little rocky today. So here he is, the rock of stability. Longtime political analyst and a friend of the show. He's Gary DIETRICH, everyone.
Hey,
Gary, look at you. Got that holiday look.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
He's
it's holiday week.
He's coming in hot, John. Can you turn
You
him
have
down a
me
little
for
bit? Hang on 1 second, Gary.
Yeah, me?
Yeah, we've got you. We just want to get you into a. Can you, Johnny? Do you have the ability?
Yeah,
to
I
do
adjusted.
That? Okay, we've adjusted.
Hello. Yes, we have the obligatory, Thanksgiving semi-work, semi-on today.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out, but I hear what you're saying. It's kind of the, you have semi-casual is what you're saying.
Yeah, the white Estonian.
Why is he cutting out, John? Do you have
the physics of the internet?
Is that right? Well, I can't. I mean, can we do something about that?
We're trying here at
Mark Thompson Central.
Yeah, ground control.
Gary, I just want everybody to be able to hear you smoothly. So hang on a second.
My suggestion is call Elon. I think that's what you need to call Elon.
He sounds better there. Okay, will that work? Are you good with it, Johnny?
Hello.
I think we're fine.
Okay, let's try. Yeah, what a wild scene, Gary Dietrich. But so cool of you to join us on Thanksgiving week. So it seemed like over the weekend there was the Around the Horn, Face the Nation, Meet the Press, MSNBC, Fox News Channel tour being done by Pence. Of course, is pushing a book. Barr, I don't know what he's pushing, but and he's joined also by Rod Rosenstein. I thought that was interesting. Sort of weighing in on this special prosecutor. I'd love to play you a little bit of these guys and kind of get your reaction to just kind of, and then I want to talk about the agenda of the new Congress. But can I play you a little bit of this, Gary, and get your thoughts? Here's
as long as Elon says it's okay. Yes, go right ahead.
We begin this morning with former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. He appointed Robert Mueller as special counsel for the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election and to determine if there were links between that country and former President Trump's campaign. And he joins us in studio. It is good to have you here in an extraordinary week.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
I want to get right to it. Due to the former president launching his campaign, the current president may also run for president. The Attorney General said it is absolutely necessary to have a special counsel oversee this investigation into the classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago and what happened with trying to change the outcome of the 2020 election. If you were in the old role you once had, would you have appointed a special counsel?
It's easy to second guess from outside the department. I don't know exactly what Merrick Garland knows, what information was available to him. He didn't say that he was required to appoint the special counsel. He said that he thought it was the right thing to do. I believed, under the circumstances that I faced, that the appointment of Robert Mueller was the right thing to do with regard to the Russia investigation. But I think in this case, Merrick Garland clearly made a discretionary decision. The department had been handling this itself for 2 years, could have continued to handle it itself, but he believed that this would help to promote public confidence. I think it remains to be seen whether that's the case.
So you wouldn't have done this yourself?
As I said, it's easy to second guess from outside. I think my inclination, given that the investigation has been going on for some time and given the stage which they've reached, is that I probably would not have, but I just can't tell from the outside.
It's interesting. The guy who did appoint Mueller feels as though you don't need a special counsel in this case. Gary, thoughts?
Well, yeah, Mark, I think there's a couple of very important layers to this. Number one, let's just start with the obvious. We have a now declared presidential candidate. We're 2 years away from less than 2 years now, believe it or not, right? Away from the presidential election. The DOJ, I think, number one, wanted to get out of the politics business, period. I mean, if you're conducting this investigation, at some point in time, you've got to release findings, you've got to release a decision, right? Which is either we're going to prosecute somebody like a Trump or others, or we're not. Either way, you're not going to win, right? I mean, if you prosecute Trump, that half of the aisle is going to be really ticked off. If you don't, that half of the aisle is going to be really ticked off, right? And I think, frankly, with all the aspersions that have been cast towards the DOJ and the FBI, I honestly believe they're eager to get out of the public spotlight. That's number one. Number two, what Rosenstein's pointed, and he made it very subtly, but I think this is really important. These investigations have been going on internally in the DOJ for 2 years. If you bring on a special counsel, remember what that means. Their own staff, their own investigators, their own attorneys. Basically, almost, Mark, you're starting over in one sense. And I think that was Rosenstein's point. It's like, look, you're already this far down the road. If you're going to do something, if a shoe's ready to drop, let it drop. Otherwise, I'm not sure about restarting the clock on the whole thing.
Well, I completely agree with you, and yet I've read chapter and verse over the weekend on both why it was a mistake, and I've also read chapter and verse on how, well, he'll actually use the existing investigation, much of the evidence that's been revealed. It's not as though he really has to start from... The guy's not even in the country, okay? This guy Smith was, he was arguing cases in front of The Hague. So the idea somehow, I'm really like, guys, this stall tactic of Trump, it seems to be you're aiding and abetting that. But again, I've also seen legal breakdowns, Gary, as to why, regardless, there's going to be a delay of one sort or another putting this case together. The thing that I think is most compelling is that, and I think it's just revealed in all of these different layers, as you call them, I think that and I would ask you, the reluctance to charge a former president is manifest. Here's a guy who he does everything but autograph his crimes. I mean, you've got him on tape. You've got video of the documents being moved. Because I understand we're concentrating on the document case in this particular instance, as well as January 6th, and yet still no indictment. I get it. They're political reasons, blah, blah, blah. But now a special counsel, it just seems as though they want to kick the can down the road on prosecuting a former president.
Yeah, and that is another one of the layers, Mark. And you're absolutely right, by the way, to back up a second. What a surprise, huh? There's legal opinions on both sides of this. That's the nature of the beast these days, right? That is the nature of American jurisprudence and American politics. But let's also just remind ourselves of this, that do you want to be the first attorney general to charge a president, right? To indict a president? I think there's a lot of genuine, honest concern inside the legal community. How many more tripwires do we want to cross here? I mean, what happens if, the random if, what happens if a Joe Biden gets reelected and somebody decides, you know what? All these Republican investigations that have gone on in the House controlled by McCarthy for the last 4 years. Look at all the dirt that have dug up. Maybe we need a special prosecutor. Maybe there needs to be charges related to Hunter Biden, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you can just see where this could go. And I think that's why the reluctance is there and why the process is moving at what many people say is an absolute snail's pace. It's just that we're crossing Rubicons now that nobody envisioned would be crossed.
Well, to which I would say this. Look, speaking of crossing Rubicons that, there's never been anything like this, as we always run the...
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah, right. There's never been anything like an attempted coup by a president. I mean, you have, a trail of breadcrumbs that's pretty strong. And the unprecedented nature of the last administration, I think, dictates unprecedented reaction. And much of it is from the legal levers because so much of it was illegal. Here's Bill Barr from over the weekend with PBS.
He failed. He didn't do what the whole country hoped, which that he would rise to the occasion and rise to the office. And he didn't do that. So he's had his chance. He obviously does not have the qualities necessary to unite the party, which is the first step on the road back. And he should stand aside. If the Department of Justice can show that these were indeed very sensitive documents, which I think they probably were, and also show that the president consciously was involved in misleading the department, deceiving the government, and playing games after he had received the subpoena for the documents, those are serious charges. That's serious.
That's a serious
Well,
enough
I
crime.
said that I personally think that they probably have the basis for legitimately indicting the president. I don't know. I'm speculating.
You're speculating, yeah.
But given what's gone on, I think they probably have the evidence that would check the box. They have the case.
And if they have it, should they?
That's a decision for...
If you were AG, would you?
I'm not going to get into that.
Do you think they will?
I think it's becoming increasingly more likely.
And you think it would be appropriate if they did?
Well, this is what the Attorney General gets paid, these kinds of decisions. the argument for doing it is that if you let someone like this, who, if the facts are as raw as they may be, and you let someone get away with it, how can you protect these secrets? How can you insist on people in government taking this stuff seriously? So, that's an important thing to weigh, as well as what what it will do to the country and to the office of the presidency.
So you see, that last part is what you're talking about, that the Rubicon part, which is what will it do to the country, what will it do to the office of the presidency. But if you follow that logic, you'll never prosecute. I mean, this guy, as I say, he's all the dumpster fire, wrecking ball, bull in the china shop, whatever you want. I mean, the guy, at some point, don't you have to draw the line and go, no. This country stands for things beyond just, the flag and wrapping yourself in it.
Well, Mark, if you notice what Barr focused on, I thought it was exceptionally interesting. There was not a single mention of January 6th, of elections. It was all about the documents at Mar-a-Lago. And I really think that is the key here, because I really think, in a way, the January 6th has been adjudicated in the public realm. People have made up their decisions, and there are prosecutions even now going on with those who actually, of course, entered the Capitol building. So that process is underway. I think in many ways, in Barr's mind, more damning and more concerning in its own way is a president taking top secret documents potentially and saying that they're not there, or we don't have them, that they weren't really secret. I think that's his larger concern. If you notice, what he said is almost, you have to make an example. You can't have people in government getting away with this, which is sort of the larger point. In other words, a mid-level manager in any given governmental department in Washington is unlikely to have anywhere near the capacity to start an insurrection at the Capitol. They could, however, take away a lot of sensitive documents, right? And take them home, or to distribute them in some fashion. And I think that's what Barr, you can tell, that's what he's really zeroed in on, is, look, we have to control the flow of sensitive, classified, U.S. government information. That is what clearly he right now is fixated on.
I think of Scooter Libby and the revealing, they're saying adjudicated as a ding word. Okay, all right. The Scooter Libby under Cheney, who revealed the identity of Valerie Plame, that was pretty big, And by the way, Libby was charged and pleaded it down, which is, I think, one of the things I've read about might happen with Trump, that they'll say, "Hey, dude, we got no choice here, but we'll let you go if you plead to this. But if he pleads to it, he won't be able to run for president." Is that right, Kerry? If he's guilty of a felony?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get to that place, Mark. Here's the thing. Let's just walk this out real quick. You appoint a special prosecutor, comes back from The Hague or wherever he is in, vacationing, and just joking there. And now he puts his team together, and now he investigates.
But by the way, I know you're kidding, but it really won't get started until after the Christmas holidays and all of that
That's
stuff.
Right.
So yeah,
That's
anyway,
right.
go ahead.
And then think about the sources of information you mentioned. Okay, so what is he going to do? He's going to take the January 6th committee information and work from that. People, half the country believes that's illegitimate and tainted. So you've got that, tranche, as they love that word in Washington these days, of information. They've got the same in the DOJ, and then you've got a whole separate potential set of information. Got to wade through all that. Here's my point. You could easily see nothing being decided till well into 2024. And now we're right in the middle of a presidential campaign, and that's where I think the bar gets raised so exceptionally high. I mean, let's just say Trump survives, makes it through the Republican nominating process, and now he's the nominee. Now you're literally going to take one of the two major party candidates out of the race by indicting him and maybe convicting him. I just think that is going to be a really tough mountain for them to climb. So in any event, I think more interesting is what you're kind of getting at, Mark, and that is, will there be a lower level fall guy? Will there be, well, listen, it wasn't President Trump who actually took the documents out of the White House. It was an aide, and it was this senior, assistant. They were the ones that packed that stuff into boxes, knew it was going into boxes, and carted it down to Mar-a-Lago. And I could see, Mark, someone like that taking the fall, or at least being the first one to take the fall.
That makes total sense because the politics almost dictate that has to be the course. It
Yeah, and then
sucks,
somebody would
but
pay a
it's true.
price, right? I mean, to your point, you'd have a Scooter Libby type figure. Listen, you can't get away with this. Now I don't want anybody thinking going forward, you just load up boxes, throw them in the U-Haul, and woohoo, we're all down, taken off to the presidential library or whatever. So that's, I think there's going to be an example made. The chances of it being a former or sitting president, again, that's probably not as likely.
We'll see if the Democrats play as, rather the Republicans play as hands off with the Biden administration now that they're in control of those committees. I mean, they won't be able to shove stuff over to the Justice Department with quite the aggressiveness that they would when Trump was in charge, but they may very well be able to pursue their own jihad now that they're in charge. Gary, love that you come spend time with us. Thank you for your support. Love your mind. We have Mark merch on the way to you, as you know, and
cannot wait for it, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving, and thanks again, Gary Dietrich. Everybody, come on for Gary Dietrich. Thanks, Gary.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Now, how about a little something for Steve Moskowitz, everyone? Yeah, we love our Steve Moskowitz. He is the first and last word, the only word you'll ever need in taxes. You can reach him at MoskowitzLLP.com. He is here now. And Steve, what about year end, man? I mean, it just strikes me that there's so much to know when it comes to taxes, and there's so many advantages one can take of opportunities on the tax code.
Absolutely, Mark. And that's why we you want to avoid March Madness. And that's not college basketball. That's people around March saying, no, this couldn't be right. How could I possibly owe so much money? Why are the big companies not paying taxes? Because they have an army of people like me who say this and this. The head of Apple admitted he spends a lot of time with their tax lawyers working on Apple's taxes. And mom and papa in the corner are paying more taxes than Apple. So there's so much in the tax law. Our tax law is a system of incentives. The government can't order you to do something, even if they want you to do it. So how do they get you to do something they want? They pay you, tax incentive. But you have to know where they are. And there's a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things you have to do by December 31st, 22, in order to deduct it in 22. So if you call up in March, I say, well, for next year, we can do this. There are exemptions like pension. But the bottom line is you can save yourself that grief. And there's, for example, I talked with a client this morning. And I talked to him. He called me about ERC, and we talked about ERC. And I said, well, let's talk about tax planning. You know the very first thing I found out? He was paying double the taxes he had to, because his business was formed, get a little bit technical here, as a C corporation. That's like the big corporations, where the corporation pays the taxes, and then when the person gets the money to pay taxes a second time, because he didn't even know what an S election was. For filing an election, we can bring his corporate taxes down to 0. And that's somebody that just didn't know that. Well, okay, that was the start, not to mention the pension, not to mention so on and so forth. So in so many cases, there's so much you can be. You see how excited I get because I say all these are tax savings. Hey, and I'm also excited about 105 today when we introduce our mystery guest.
Oh, that's right. Gary, Steve mentioned that on Nikki's show today at 105, he has a mystery guest that will be joining.
A lot of the audience will be familiar with.
The audience and kind of loves, I think. I'm guessing. Yes. I have a guess, but I will.
I think you might know who it is.
Yeah, I'm excited though. So, look, as I say, a guy who knows the tax code, can be an aggressive advocate for you with the IRS, can find ways in which you can save money and even make money. He's Steve Moskowitz. You can reach him at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. It means a lot. You should know that all of us Station X hosts, we have a lot of love for Steve Moskowitz because he's permitted us to continue. So not only is he helping you, but he's helping us all along the way. So it's MoskowitzLLP.com, MoskowitzLLP.com, Moskowitz LLP. Thank you, Steve Moskowitz. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, Steve Moskowitz, everybody.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Man, everything's just a little bit hot, and I got to get all our levels worked out, John.
You can't help it, Mark.
I can't. I just can't tell how anything sounds. You know, you don't get a true. I'm not getting a true sound, but hopefully, you know, as I say,
Don't worry, you'll get feedback.
Yeah. It is so true. Our audience doesn't.
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
I did not know that. A werewolf can kill a vampire. You know, people put down Herschel Walker, okay? They put him down because he's a massive hypocrite who says, you know, women should not have any right to an abortion. Reproductive rights should be taken away from women in every case, no exceptions. Yet he's paid for a bunch of abortions, and he's had a bunch of children that he didn't tell us about, even as he claimed a certain loyalty to family and to good old American values. Said he was a successful businessman, and turns out he wasn't a successful businessman. Business went under. Said he graduated top of his class. Turns out didn't graduate at all. A lot of people are down on Herschel Walker for being dumb as a stick. But me, well,
a werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, and I think he doesn't get enough credit for that fact. How is that? I think a little more credit to Herschel Walker.
Why are you yelling?
Because he's making a point. Did you hear ever anyone on the stump for public office make that point?
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
No.
I did not know that.
I've never heard anyone even mention that, and it's significant. Look, I leave you with this before we get to Kim's news. If you think you may be over the holidays, Thanksgiving, you're probably going with family, maybe they're coming into you. You might have a vampire in your midst and not even be aware of it. You need a werewolf in your midst because the werewolf can...
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
Thank you. So at least working security maybe at your gathering, a werewolf to take care of any vampires. It's just saying, say what you want about Herschel Walker. He gave you some information that you can use. What are we doing in the next half hour, John?
That's a good question.
What
I can tell you,
you know,
it's
has no
going to
idea
be
what they're
great.
doing.
I have Law and Disordered scheduled, but that doesn't mean that's what we're actually going to do.
Okay, we do have Law and Disorder scheduled, but I also had a lot of
It's kind of
stuff
like
about...
expecting a Munibus to show up.
We're going to throw the cards up in the air and see which ones land, right?
It's going to be pretty cool. Did you see that Mighty Morphin Power Ranger star passed away? Wow, he wasn't even 50 years old, 49.
Sad.
Yeah.
This was the green Power Ranger?
I don't know what... are they all green? Is that weird? No, they're not all green.
No, and not to brag, but when I worked at McDonald's in high school, I was told that I needed to escort the red Power Ranger around all day. So I was a Power Ranger escort.
That is...
What?
I'm just
I know, it's
saying,
kind of a
baby.
humble brag, I know.
I think it's kind of cool. All right. When we come back, we'll get into something. Maybe we'll do some Law and Disorder. I also have Mike Pence on Face the Nation if you want to hear a little bit of that.
I do.
I know there are a lot of you Mike Pence fans. Yeah, I know. It's a big...
Quattro Caños
Quattro Caños Mas. Okay.
I think he's going to run. And I was just reading a story that Nikki Haley can seriously considering, she said, a run at the presidency.
She'd be really good. I mean, at running. She wouldn't be good at public. You do not want Nikki Haley anywhere near the presidency. But, you know, she's telegenic. She knows her stuff to the extent that she needs to know it to sound credible. So, anyway, we continue. Kim's News next as we thank you for smashing the like button. Thank you for sharing the show. By the way, I wanted to mention this. This is really kind of important. And then I really will take a break. I've been talking to a lot of YouTubers and a lot of successful people have been consulting me on this, and it's a long process of building a show and building an audience. And you don't advertise in the same way. You don't. The outreach is all different. So if all of you who subscribe and all of you who are watching right now could ask 3 friends to subscribe, they don't have to ever watch. They only have to subscribe.
Wait, is this
on
like
YouTube.
Amway now?
It is, because if we can get to 10,000, then different things are available to us. So that we're on the road to 10,000. So if you, and Thanksgiving's the perfect time. maybe before your little Thanksgiving prayer, you get all your vampires and werewolves together.
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
Yeah, before the werewolf kills the vampire, have the vampire subscribe to the show. That's all
You
I'm
just
saying.
need to sell Mark merch to 3 other people and get them to start selling Mark merch.
I'll do it with guilt. At my family, we go around in a circle and everyone says what they're thankful for. And I'll say, I'm very thankful for every family member and friend here subscribing to the Mark Thompson Show.
Yes,
and they will
that's
say,
it.
oh, I haven't done it yet. But it will move people to get forward and get it done.
Thanksgiving
Make it clear to
dinner
them.
sponsored by the Mark Thompson Show.
They don't have to watch the show. They only, if they would, subscribe to the show. That helps us. We continue. Mark Thompson Show.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Do you feel it? It's the Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. The suspect in a deadly Colorado shooting that killed 5 people, injured more than 2 dozen, is now facing felony charges. Anderson Lee Aldrich was charged with 5 counts of murder and 5 counts of bias-motivated crime. Meantime, officials are warning of possible fundraising scams after the tragedy at an LGBTQ club in Colorado Springs. The politics kind of muddling sports right now. The captains of multiple World Cup teams won't be wearing a special armband during the tournament because they could get punished for doing so. The players who lead Belgium, Denmark, England, Germany, the Netherlands, and Wales will not be wearing the One Love anti-discrimination armband. They would be given yellow cards if they did. A joint statement said FIFA was clear about the potential punishment. They also said they were ready to pay fines for wearing the armband, but their plans have now changed. There's a possibility of a national rail worker strike next month. The largest rail union in the U.S., which represents conductors, has rejected the latest contract offer. In September, the Biden administration praised a tentative deal between the railroads and the unions, long-time disputes over pay and working conditions. The Biden administration now giving PG&E a little more than $1 billion in grant funding. That will be used to help the utility company keep operating the Diablo Canyon nuclear plant. It's the last nuclear plant in California. It's currently scheduled to shut down in phases over the 2024 and 2025 years. Governor Gavin Newsom, though, says the grant will provide a limited term extension of the plant and support reliability statewide and provide an on-ramp for more energy projects to come online. And former President Trump's Twitter account, it's active again, but don't expect Alex Jones to return to the social media platform anytime soon. Twitter owner Elon Musk says he has no mercy for anyone who would use the deaths of children for gain, politics, or fame. Jones promoted the theory, of course, that the Sandy Hook school shooting in Connecticut was a hoax. That led to a judgment against him worth hundreds of millions of dollars. In Petaluma, police are confirming they're looking into the removal of campaign signs by a city council member. City Council member Mike Healy faced backlash on social media after he'd been observed removing campaign signs that weren't his the day after the midterm elections. Was he removing trash or something else? Healy telling the local paper, the Argus Courier, it's something he's done in the past that no one had ever complained about before. City Council candidate John Hanania went to the police about the issue, accusing Healy of theft. Petaluma police say there's an active investigation now. They're not releasing any details. And millions are on the move ahead of Thanksgiving. AAA's Wayne Kinzer says nationally, travel is up to its highest level since 2005, with nearly 55 million Americans expected to be on the road or in the air, the travel heaviest today through Wednesday. And not a holiday newscast without a little Queen of Christmas story. Mariah Carey joining Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. The singer posting on Instagram, her childhood dream is coming to life. She'll be performing her iconic 1994 holiday song, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Did you just sing it in your head?
No.
You did, right?
Yeah.
So she's going to be singing
I'm
that.
Shadow Stevens.
Now, Shadow, let Kim get through the damn newscast. Kyle, you're always
She's going to be
sorry.
singing
Shadow,
her Want for Christmas song right ahead of Santa's float. So first you get Mariah, then you get Santa, blah, blah, blah. The news sponsored
Wait, she
by...
hasn't done that before?
No, it's
How's
her
it a dream come
child.
true?
it's a childhood dream come true.
I also thought she'd done it before. It's weird. Yeah.
It seems like she's done it before. She hasn't. I guess she hasn't. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve, who we love, has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, you can call Steve at 888-TAX-DEAL or get him online, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Do you feel it? It's the Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Feels great, baby.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
What he's got going here is a situation.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
You cannot say you love your country.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Let me kick down the door and talk to my two sons and daughters.
Don't make us beg. Subscribe, like, and share. The Mark Thompson Show.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Absolutely smashed. Why are you yelling?
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal.
What's a guilty pleasure you have?
Where are my weed smokers at?
Wow. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Wait, Mossware Pro Audio. Come on, Mossware Pro Audio. Shout out to Mossware Pro Audio.
Thank you.
Right. Love it. Thank you. Thank you for $5. The maker of the Honeybee vacuum tube mic preamp is Mossware Pro Audio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm thanking you both for the $5 and for the making of the Honeybee vacuum tube mic preamp. That's what I'm thanking you. There's a double thank you, actually.
What's the Honeybee vacuum tube? We have to find out more.
That is on tomorrow's show. Kim sent me a great, let me read her email. Kim, $1.99. Hey, Kim.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Hey,
thank
Kim.
you, Kim. We love everybody named Kim. I got a great
Kim-
email. It related to
Kim-friendly
the
podcast.
vineyard.
Except Kim Jong-un. No, we don't like him.
Kim Jong. Did you see that Kim was with his daughter this weekend?
I thought it was daughter or sister? Daughter?
Oh, maybe it was the sister. I don't know.
It is daughter. It was daughter.
He revealed his daughter for the first time.
That was it. Yeah, thank you.
Is her name Kim as well?
Kim is for everyone.
I
Kim
love that
Jr.
play. I will read you Kim's. This is not our Kim. The Kim who just made a contribution. I'll read her email in a moment. Are we done with shout outs? Sorry about that. I just okay. Thank you everybody who's given us anything today through the super sticker, through the super chat. You can also go on our website and support that way. We love our patrons who have subscribed monthly through Patreon. All of that is at the website, themarkthompsonshow.com. TheMarkThompsonShow.com has the click-through to Patreon. It has the click-through to PayPal if you prefer. So whatever way you choose is great. Dear Mark, Kim, John, and Tony comes. And Tony is not taking.
Thanks, Tony.
He's taking the morning off. He's going to come back, I think, this afternoon to try to clean up some of this as we just got this on the air the way we did. That's we had told you we had to rebuild the studio. This is an email. You can email me at. What's the email address, please, again, John?
I've received a lot of positive.
Mark Thompson Show at gmail.com.
TheMarkThompsonShow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Hi, Mark, Kim, John, and Tony. I went to Tenuta Winery yesterday.
Oh.
It was a stop on a wine bus tour. Had a great time, she says. Met Rich, and we discussed what fans we are of yours and the show. Well, I mean, that's never a bad discussion, I think.
So Rich has like a bus stop outside the place.
Apparently. I even bought a bottle of Which One of You is Mark Thompson Pinot Grigio. Oh, right. That's strong.
It's
Can't
the
wait
Why
to
Are You
try it.
Yelling Red, though, that really knocks your socks off.
The Why Are You Yelling Red has been claimed as one of the best wines ever.
Why are you yelling?
Yeah, I don't know. But
It's true.
Now, Which One of You is Mark Thompson Pinot Grigio is pretty special, though, I have to say, especially, in the late afternoon. It's it's pretty terrific. So I think you've chosen wisely. And as a white wine goes, and some people like the white wine, it's I think a very strong.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Exactly. Can't wait to try it, she says. Another highlight of the day, the trip was organized by Pat Thurston's cousin, Terry, who I also met, she says. Terry, such a nice guy. Anyway, love your show so much. I look forward to hearing it every weekday morning. Take care, Kim.
Nice.
That's so cool, Kim. And there's a picture of her, and I can't. Oh, I'll show it tomorrow. She's very cute. If I can use that, is that not politically correct to say that? A very attractive lady. Is lady not good? Okay, sorry.
Lady's fine.
Okay, God.
Just don't say girl, hot.
Okay.
Ooga.
Hubba.
Yeah, all of those are not good.
Girl, you just
Okay, well, I guess. Anyway, thank you, Kim, and thanks to everybody who. By the way, the Mark's merch site, where you can get a hat like this, you can also get the hydration device, hydration system. Where's the tumbler? The tumbler. These are great stocking stuffers. All of the money goes to supporting the show. You can get that at getmarkmerch.com. Well, let me do it now before there's any further delay. Some law and disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
$450,000 worth of cocaine was seized from wheelchair wheels at JFK Airport. I mean, that is a strong play. In fact, I'll tell you that I've seen it in other wheels, but never in wheelchair wheels, like in the wheels of a car. But the
wheels of a bus?
The wheels of a bus, the wheels of an automobile, they go round and round with cocaine.
Yeah. Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
A traveler at New York City's... What's that?
It was pretty inventive because, no one ever really bats an eyelash at the disabled folks. They just try to get them quick, in through as quickly as possible.
Yeah, those
with
poor
little delay.
disabled folks. They play on the sympathy, and then
Seriously, what the
right, and they've got cocaine in their
and
wheels.
they're rolling down the
But
airport.
this time they were
full of
like,
cocaine.
whoa, slow down.
So, a traveler at JFK arrested after $450,000 worth of cocaine was discovered hidden in the wheels of her wheelchair. So the fact that it's a woman even makes it less likely they'll be detained. The traveler arrived because men, let's face it, we're behind a lot of the bad stuff. The traveler arrived in New York City, but as we're revealing, I think here every day, women are really taking a pretty sizable part of the bad stuff universe. The Dominican Republic is where this lady comes from. The traveler arrived from there. Officers noticed...
I'm still stuck in the bad stuff universe.
Well, I'm just saying, you guys have, we used to really be the exclusive purveyors of bad, but now you guys really wanted to participate. So you guys,
fun fact, she only got 75 cents worth of money for every dollar of cocaine.
Is that right?
Right, because she's a woman.
I get it, because it's a play on the fact that
There you
women
go.
don't make as much money.
That's
right.
right.
If you have to explain it, it's not really.
Yeah, I just think
we'll work on it.
The 3D chess of John Daly is...
What?
Yeah, exactly. The traveler arrived in New York City from the Dominican Republic, as I was saying. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection folks, they noticed the wheels on her wheelchair were not turning.
Oh.
They x-rayed the wheelchair. They discovered a white powder, which later tested positive for cocaine. And The cocaine was in all the wheels, all 4 wheels. To be fair to her, if you're going to do right,
if it's not, if it affects the ability to roll, I think you got a problem.
Yeah, I mean, seriously? As they were saying, seriously?
Seriously?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
But it is kind of ingenious because she could just roll down perfect lines. Right, as she goes along, kind of like a snail.
The cocaine, is that what you're saying? Gosh.
What?
Okay. The traveler was arrested for importation of a controlled substance. Turned out that this is her first arrest, but she went in big with all 4 wheels loaded with coke. Congratulations to the Customs and Border people for, discovering it. How about a guy carrying a live albino alligator in a suitcase?
Oh.
Yeah. There is no sentence nasty enough for these guys.
I mean, not that I want. I like the white albino alligator in nature, but it's not that I love him so much. But I just feel sad that it would be unborn at risk of dying, and that people did that to it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a smuggling of exotic animals, and it happens all the time. And the reason they smuggle the albino alligator is because people are in love with the albino alligator. It's more exotic. It's different, right? But that's just how they strap them to their legs. We have the story of the exotic birds, and they know that a bunch of them are going to die. It's part of the game. They're just commodities to all of them. It's horrifying. They should lock these guys up and throw away the key. Yeah. In any case, it was an American dude, and he was on his way to Germany, and the reptile apparently did survive. 3 feet long and in a suitcase. Detected at Munich airport.
There's a white albino alligator. It's kind of the star of the show at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. His name is Claude.
Now, that seems like a good name it's a strong choice for an alligator.
Yeah, right?
They don't mess around at the Munich airport. They took my body wash. They are intense.
Well, I told you the story about me, and I was in first class at the Munich airport, and they have a special first class what do they call it? Screening, right?
Do you know who I am?
Right.
I'm kind of a big deal.
So I was in the first class lounge, where I'm used
travel
to
with you.
luxuriating. And I then leave that area, and right adjacent to the lounge is this TSA-ish place, but it's very first classy, right? So I'm thinking this is going to be no big deal. So and there are other people there. There are maybe 11 people total in this area, but no wait. You go in, you take stuff out of your pockets, you go through. And the alarm goes off when I walk through. Thinking, I don't know why the alarm went off. And he says, sir, could you step back? And he's got that German accent, which just sounds very severe. I'm sorry. I mean, no offense. I love German people, but
sounds like a World War II movie.
It just
show me your papers.
It sounded very World War II. So I said, okay. I said, and he said, do you have something in your pockets? And so I reached in the pockets, and I had a coin. Okay, I actually had several coins. So I said, oh my God, these are. This is the reason. And right as I said, this is he says, sir, please. Oh. Please step back, step back. He's yelling this. Okay, and people in the area. Yeah, why are you
yelling?
I mean, so they're all now looking at me, so it's kind of humiliating. And I said, I was just trying to tell you. I said, sir, go here, walk through again. And he's really barking the orders at me now. This is not just in my head. The guy was, really like flexing almost.
Agitated.
So I walk through again, and I said, I don't think I said anything at that point. I was pretty intimidated. And then he says, sir, come here. And he has that wand thing. Then he starts wanding me. I'm thinking, dude, are you kidding? First of all, I've come from first class, so I'm not here to blow things up. Well, I guess that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And then the whole experience, actually, it's triggering me right now as I think of it. It was brutal. It was really brutal. So the Munich airport, when they're not finding,
you.
Yes.
Why are you yelling?
Anyway, that's.
Well, remember, Bin Laden had money too, so.
You're right. First class means nothing. That isn't part of it. 720 citations issued, 19 cars impounded in San Jose at a sideshow. That's right. I mean, multiple vehicles abandoned at the scene. 2 of them were reported stolen. In a large coordinated effort, officers responded to a sideshow occurring at Monterey Highway and Branham Lane in San Jose. They impounded 19 vehicles, 720 citations. Good. That stuff has to stop. It hurts people, and it's also just, come on, guys. It's about time something happened, said April Bringus, who lives nearby. She heard the sideshow from inside her home. They're really loud and really dangerous. So that's the latest on the sideshow. 720 citations. Wow.
That's a lot. I think they took 19 cars, too. Impounded.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's it.
Really incredible. Let me just look at the clock. I have one more story. I may bump it to the next Law and Disorder. Can I do that, John? Does that violate some bylaw?
I'm sure it does, but I think it's okay.
Okay. So that is, my friends, Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on the Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
And I do have stuff involving a clown, stuff involving nuclear secrets. We'll do it tomorrow.
You mean Donald
also
Trump?
On the what's that?
Nuclear secrets and a clown? That's Donald Trump.
That's true. That is very. You're right. Those are the twin towers of ugly. Yeah. So the World Cup is going down, as you're aware. I just wanted to finish the show by noting that the World Cup is going down because it's happening now. And it's going on in Qatar, which is a brutal country. It's a brutal regime. They have a ton of money. Most of it, in fact, all of it is really related to a liquid natural gas that they have. And that gives them great leverage. And because of that wealth, they're able to overnight essentially build up cities around this World Cup. And they do it with slave labor. And the slave labor involves a process by which they force the laborers to take out a loan, and then essentially they're working to repay that loan. The conditions are brutal. The Qataris have this construction going year-round, and the temperatures reach 120, 125 degrees. It's really awful.
Miserable.
So enjoy the tournament, everybody. That's what I'm trying to. No, I was simply trying to say that against that backdrop, they got all this stuff up. It is still the sport itself, World Cup, soccer, is enjoyed and celebrated by the entire world. So to be part of the World Cup is a big, big deal. And it's a big deal that the Americans are part of it. So you watch it both aware of what I've just talked about and also aware that this competition is really fun and interesting. But the Qatari government itself is a brutal regime like the Saudi regime. Anti-gay doesn't even begin to talk about the repression and the political persecution and the media persecution that goes on in Qatar. So I watch it with all of that in mind. And the last thing I would say is that the organization FIFA, we've talked about it before. Remember this, for those who are longtime listeners, I detailed for you how FIFA is completely corrupt. That is like the Olympic Committee, they are completely corrupt. I mean, they're cash in a briefcase payoff corrupt. And yet they're the organization that they're trying to wash their image a bit. So even as they have this thing in Qatar, they're trying to speak out for the gay community and for media. And you can see how in statements they are trying to at least give a tip of the FIFA hat to a lot of these communities that they know are oppressed in that brutal regime of Qatar. So,
did you see what the Ecuadorian fans were chanting?
No.
We want beer.
Well,
you can't sell it there because of the rules. And apparently Budweiser is their big sponsor. So that was poor planning.
That is really wild, isn't it?
Or excellent planning. Take the money and then ban them at the last second.
Yeah. That is kind of their deal, right?
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Are you in your house watching it at all, Kim? I mean, is your son into soccer?
No, we're more of a baseball family. You know,
that's cool.
where they serve beer and apple pie. That's where we do. Yeah.
Peanuts and Cracker Jack.
Yep.
Well.
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. I'm really glad that we get
Long live
that
America.
going. Yeah. I don't know. I thought I had my closing music. It's also been lost in all of this. Oh my God, it's just crazy. Where's my closing music, man? I need my. What's that?
We got a message from Nikki.
We got to wrap up. Wrap up and get out.
No,
you can read that. Read that
at
while
noon,
I look for it.
we've got can a younger Dem caucus stay united? Former President Trump allowed on Twitter. Is that a big deal? Or is that a big yawn? Latest on the Colorado nightclub massacre, a Bay Area transit death spiral, and the World Cup is being compared to the Fyre Fest. It is? We'll find out more on the Nikki Maduro Show coming up in just a minute. TheNikkiMaduroShow.com to find it.
Yes, that's right. Tune into Nikki's show. Also, I mentioned Chip's doing a show now that precedes ours, so you can just do your deal with in the search bar looking for what you want. I really don't see it. I don't know. I love.
What if you closed with the opening music?
I got. All right, everybody. This has been fun. I love a little farewell. Thank you for putting up with us as we get everything worked out with our new studio. Thanks to Kim and
Kim, how are you?
Fabulous producer John Daly.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
Tony, thank you for rebuilding this studio.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, building it back better.
Herschel
Thanks
Walker.
to everybody who supports us. Go out and get friends to subscribe. If you don't have friends, go out and make friends. We need subscribers. They don't have to watch. They only have to subscribe. And feel the magic, everybody. Oh, yeah. Woo! Come on,
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
Never been anything like this.
Amen.
They do this to me all the time.
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do
You
it
can buy a
for.
Movado watch at Sam's.
Yeah. Movado watch.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Oh, yeah. It's a false ending. I love false endings. Come on, get back at it. Yes. I'm sorry, everybody. It's the spirit of the holidays, you know.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Yeah, that was loud. You're working on that one. Are we going to close out? Does it end? Oh, yeah.
I'm Shadow Stevens for The Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.